All right, this is Joe Beeb and Cisco the Realist from Everybody Loves Sports and the World of Sports Network. And we're going to kick it off right now. We're going to recap the big fight this weekend, or not recap, preview the big fight this weekend. Dillian Whyte versus Lucas Browne. We're going to talk about latest boxing news. We're going to actually go over some of the fights that are on the upcoming schedule, big fights that we're interested in, and I'm sure you guys are interested in too. But even though this fight is a little ways away in April, we're going to talk about Jarrett Hurd versus Erislandy Lara. And we are polar opposites in this fight in terms of who I think is going to win, who he thinks is going to win, because we're in total disagreement here. And I'm going to explain to you why I like Jarrett Hurd in this fight, and the Realist is going to talk to you and let you know why he thinks the veteran and the more experienced Erislandy Lara is going to win. Now, as we know, Erislandy Lara is the more skilled boxer, but who isn't the more skilled boxer when they fight Jarrett Hurd? I mean, that's not what it's all about. We've seen many fighters who can will their way to victory, and Jarrett Hurd is just one of those guys that can will his way to victory. He looks pretty basic. You know, he's a kind of a crude brawler in a lot of people's opinions.
Is he more like Kyle Froch?
He's got Kyle Froch's killer instinct. So in that regard, yeah. But Kyle Froch, I would even say even Kyle Froch has a little bit more boxing ability than Jarrett Hurd. But the thing about Jarrett Hurd is he gives away the first 3 or 4 or 5 rounds because he's trying to figure his opponent out. Now, obviously, his game is pressure, cutting off the ring, pinning guys up against the ropes, and just teeing off on them. Now, he doesn't have the fastest hands in the world, but he's got quick feet. And every now and then, he will throw a sneaky, explosive punch in there. So some of those punches that he throws, they may be slow and they may be kind of lumbering shots, but he kind of lulls his opponent into a false insecurity because he gets them thinking that everything is going to be slow. And then he'll sneak in an explosive, sharp, hard punch that they're not expecting. And once he does that, he hurts them, and he's a great finisher.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Sure.
What can Jarrett Hurd bring to Erislandy Lara that he hasn't seen? Because that will be the only thing that will make the difference. If he can bring something to Erislandy Lara that he hasn't seen. I tell you one thing, he hasn't seen a fighter like Lara.
Well, the thing is this. Tony Harrison, good slick boxer, was beating Jarrett Hurd until Jarrett Hurd wore him down and knocked him out. You know, similar to Austin Trout, same thing. I mean, he was winning rounds. I had him up. I think after 5 or 6 rounds, I had him. But after 5 rounds, I had him up, and then Jarrett Hurd started turning the corner and started applying the pressure, and you know he figured out Austin Trout, and he wore him down and stopped him in the 8th. So the problem with Erislandy Lara is he doesn't sustain a high work rate or a busy work rate, and because of that, it's not always appealing to judges. Now he may pot shot Jarrett Hurd the first 3 or 4 rounds from the outside, and he may get, you know, the first 4 rounds. But the thing is, Jarrett Hurd seems to get stronger as the fight goes along. He seems to find a way to impose his will on guys, and you know, it's like this. You take a plate of spaghetti and you throw it up against the wall, and part of that plate is going to stick on the wall. Maybe a lot of it will fall off, but at least part of it will stick on the wall. So Jarrett Hurd doesn't care if he hits you with every punch. He's just going to keep throwing. And that one punch that does land, you know, it pays dividends for him, and it usually counts. And that's all he really needs. He's a heavy-handed, strong guy who's durable, who has great stamina, but he's also this. Like I said, as the fight wears on, you know, he may switch up the rhythm of his punches a little bit. He's not predictable with his combinations. It's just that he's not always the fastest guy in the world with his combinations. And sometimes, like I said, you as an opponent, you can probably say to yourself, I see everything coming, but there's always going to be that one punch that you don't see coming, and that's the one punch
that
Lara might not see, and that's going to change the fight. And the thing is this, Lara will take his foot off the gas pedal and try to coast. This guy will not allow anyone to coast. And that's the problem. Because as an opponent, you can sit there and say to yourself, I'm way ahead on the scorecards. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. Then the complacency may set in. And the complacency has set in a lot of times with Lara. He was complacent against Angulo. He was complacent against Carlos Molina. I thought he barely won the Carlos Molina fight. A lot of people had it a draw. Some people had Carlos Molina winning. Same thing with Canelo. It looked like he was boxing Canelo's ears off, but there were points in the fight where he allowed Canelo to do more than he really should have.
What did Canelo do in the fight? Except for
he made the appearance,
swing and a miss.
He landed. I had Lara winning the fight, but I thought that Lara could have put an explanation point on that by not letting his foot off the gas and continuing to just box. Once he gets the sense, like the thing is this, if you leave Lara alone, he's just gonna lay back and pick and pick
when he hits you.
Yeah, pick and peck at you. He's never ever gonna take the fight by the, just grab the fight with both arms and grab it and say, I got this fight. He's gonna, if he can just barely win rounds as opposed to winning rounds decisively. In other words, he leaves rounds on the table. In a lot of rounds, you put the judges in a situation where a judge may say, I like the other guy's aggression, where the other judge is gonna say, well, I like the other guy's clean punching. Why not take the other guy's aggression away from him? Try to pick and choose your spots. Don't let the other guy give the appearance of being busy. Don't sit back the whole fight. Try to fight in a more steady pace. Obviously, you take breaks here and there. But if you notice, Mayweather never let anyone off the hook. So if someone throws a punch at you and you make the miss, don't just kind of skirt away from the action. Make the guy pay every time you make a miss. Don't leave rounds on the table. And I think Jarrett Hurd is a young,
hungry lion.
He's a hungry guy, as you said. He's got a lot of stamina. He's very aggressive. He's durable. He's a big guy, and he can impose his will. And we've seen Erislandy Lara uncomfortable when guys fight a fast-paced fight against
Who
him.
is the favorite to win this matchup? And then I'm gonna tell you why I'm picking Lara. But who is the favorite to win this matchup?
I'm gonna have to double. Let's just quick double. I think Lara is a slight favorite, but let me just double check here. We can get
because no one in the world of sport seems to believe, like the majority of the fighters believe that Lara has the edge. But then I'm going to explain to you why I believe he have the edge in this fight.
Let's look at the odds here, because this is gonna tell the story. Yeah,
this is gonna tell the story.
Doesn't always tell the full story, but it is kind of an indication on what the general consensus is on the fight. So let's just take a look here. Wow, Lucas Browne is a big underdog here. He's like a 3-1 underdog here. See if we can find Erislandy Lara. That fight's in April. We'll pull that up.
April 7th.
April 7th?
Yeah.
James DeGale, I think, versus Caleb Truex, maybe on that card, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's three fight.
Wow, there's not even a line for this fight yet.
What's the other fight? There is another fight in that card.
Not sure, but there's not even a line for this fight yet.
Okay.
The only line that's posted right now is Caleb Truex, and he's a plus 350. So this just goes to show you that they're having a hard time getting a line for this fight. They don't know who they want to favor. Okay. They're gonna wait and see what people say and see the opinions of others, I think, before they post a line for this fight.
Okay, this is what I think. I mean, Jarrett Hurd has the intensity, he have the heart, and he had the killer instinct, and he's predicting that he's gonna win by knockout. But the thing is this: how he's gonna hit what his eye can see, because Lara is just too quick on his feet. Lara power punching might not be the best, but sometimes he will surprise you, and he's capable of frustrating her and even win by a stoppage, because her is gonna be trying to apply so much pressure. Hers is gonna be trying to do the unthinkable. Hers already made it clear that he's trying to do what Angulo did. But listen, hers also is not the harder power punching Lara has faced. Both Daniel Boone and Alfredo Perro Angulo hit harder. And even Canelo has more power punching than her. So I mean, Jared Her have what Jared Her have that Canelo don't have, and that Angulo don't have, is the physical condition.
Well, not only that,
and then the stamina. So I agree. In that sense. But Erlandis Lara, his amateur pedigree is just too big. And like the last time Erlandis Lara fought a fighter that applied that tremendous pressure that it takes to beat a fighter like Erlandis Lara, like the first time that a fighter stepped in the ring with him, and he was the perfect fighter, because in order for you to beat a guy like Erlandis Lara and Floyd Mayweather, you have to really apply tremendous pressure, but at the same time, you have to be accurate. For the Punisher William, I knew that he came from the Martinez fight, and it's hard to recover when somebody put you to sleep. Like Paul the Punisher William, regardless of what happened to him, sadly, it was a tragedy how his career ended. But that was the perfect guy to beat Lara, according to what we have seen. And he totally took him to school, and he was just too easy to counter. Same hands all over the fight. Jared Hurt, what he has over William is that when he applied the pressure, Jared Hurt is not the guy that he's gonna knock you out with one punch. But he has the ability to knock you out with one punch. But he does it how? With accumulation of punches, right?
He can punch in combination.
He can punch in combination, but is he gonna be able to grab? A lot of the time too, when you face guy like Lara, and he make you miss, and Mayweather, those guys make you miss, and they counter you, they are easily, the difference between Mayweather and Lara is this: Mayweather hits you with numerous of combination. Like when he lands one punch, you lose the round just based on one jab. You out to lose the round with Mayweather, because that one jab sets the other punch right behind. What Lara does is this: he hits you with that one punch, but he moves right away. So if Lara really want to win convincingly, like he said, he's going to have to apply more combination. We saw in the Angulo fight that when he did that, try to apply more combination, he had success in the beginning, but he got a little reckless, and he got cut twice by Angulo, right? That was the last time that he hit the canvas. So in this fight, I see him being more tactical. He wants to win decisively because he wants to go for the big fight. I mean, Erlandis Lara is a tough opposition, because even Gennady Golovkin has ignored the phone call. Triple G, Canelo, De La Hoya have run away from the rematch because no one looks good with Lara. So if Lara is the favorite, what is good about this fighter is that none of them are like big money fighter. So this fight will be an interesting fight, because this is the first time that Lara is presented with a real challenge. I feel like this is his biggest challenge that he's been presented with, in a way that he can possibly get defeat. But I just think he just too slick and too experienced. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he get taken to Cuban school.
You made a great point. You said that right now, neither one of these guys is a big money fighter. So there's really no A side here.
No.
So you wouldn't think that there would be any favoring. The judges won't be starstruck by either one of these guys, because no one really stands up. There is no A side.
No, there's not that up and coming fighter that he's going to face that guy to build up the name. A lot of people in the world of boxing, they don't like Lara. A lot of judges, they don't like Lara. Floyd Mayweather thinks Lara is one of the top 5 fighters. When he talks about boxing, he talks about how Lara could step it up. A lot of people, when it comes to Hernandez, Lara, they don't want to fight him because on your way to a victory with him, even if you get the victory, you're not going to win decisively unless you knock him out.
Let me address a few of your points, because you talked about Paul Williams, and that's the biggest opponent, tallest opponent that Erislandy Lara has fought.
That's the only reason why I'm bringing him, not because of the quality. Okay. Not bringing him. All right. Not bringing him for 2 reasons. He's tall and he applies a lot of pressure. The pressure that Hurts is expected in his mind. He's thinking, I'm gonna be a combination. Not gonna be a combination of Paul Williams and Pedro Angulo to defeat Lara.
So let me explain something to you. First of all, Jarrett Hurd may be a few inches shorter than Paul Williams, but he's a bigger, physically stronger guy than Paul Williams. I would argue.
How tall was the Punisher? 6'1".
Well, I thought he was 6'2". So
yeah, 6'1", 6'2".
He was listed at 6'1", but he looked a little bit taller than Jarrett Hurd.
He was lanky.
He was lanky. So let's be conservative and let's say he's an inch taller than Jarrett Hurd, number one. But not only this though, Jarrett Hurd rolls punches, tucks his chin. Angulo and Paul Williams, if you notice, whenever they got hit, their head went like swiveled around like it was on a like bobblehead dolls when they got hit, because they didn't tuck their chins and they didn't roll the shots. So Jarrett Hurd reminds me of Golovkin in the sense that he sees the punches coming. He may not get out of the way of them, but he braces himself for them and he rolls them. But not only that, he's a big guy. He's like 170 when he's in that ring.
So you're gonna tell me that he's gonna try to play a chess match, a chess match?
In a sense, he will.
No, he's gonna go for the kill.
In a sense, he will play chess match. You know what? You know why? He may play that game early. That I'm going to gamble. I may take 2 to land my 1, and you may think you're landing your 1 and it's doing damage, but it's not, because number 1, I'm able to take it, and number 2, I'm still coming forward, and my 1 is harder than your 2.
We know. One thing is this: we know Lara. When people are like that, he has the tendency of closing people's eyes, like we've seen in a lot of fights. He closed, and then we Jarrett Hurd, he's gonna have to, if he wants to knock Lara out, he's gonna have to risk getting knocked out. And when he comes and apply the pressure, this is the moment that Lara is waiting for. This is the moment that he's been expecting. And like 154, I feel like he's very motivated for this fight. And I mean, and Ronnie Shield and him, they understood what they did in the Canelo fight, what they did wrong. And Lara has not fight that level of position, but it's because who's really have been trying to challenge him. I mean, Jarrett Hurd, I'm very excited about him. I thought the fight that I really want to see him was to fight Jamel Charlo.
Yeah,
that's the fight that should have been happening. And Lara should have been waiting and fighting the winner of the fight.
Well, let's be honest.
But
the last big, really tough fight that Lara's been in, we could argue, is probably Canelo. Now, someone could say Austin Trout, but we could also argue that Austin Trout was kind of on the way down when Lara fought him and beat him. It's still a great win. Don't get me wrong.
Austin Trout really surprised people in the Cotto fight. I was very impressed. Like, Cotto should have not taken the fight. Style do may fight, and Austin Trout totally got to confuse me a little bit.
Yeah.
And I was in the Austin Trout bandwagon.
Yeah.
But Austin Trout became, he started to call himself Austin No Doubt Trout. After the Canelo fight, he left doubt. Then he became Austin Doubt Trout.
Yeah. He
was never the same fighter.
No.
Didn't look good in any of his fights. Then he chose to fight Erislandy Lara. Erislandy Lara, Asentra was talking about schooling him. This is the fight that I want. This is the type. And Lara didn't, I don't know, Lara should have finished him, but totally like let him, like took him to school.
Yeah.
And it was not a good look. It was just not a good look. And Angulo after the Lara fight wasn't the same fight. What's the name of this guy? The guy that Lara, the fight that he was winning and the guy hit batting him and they went into the scorecard and it was a draw.
Oh, Vanis Martirosyan.
Vanis
Martirosyan. That's another fight that he kind of left on the table because
the rematch.
Well, the rematch he won decisively, but in that first fight,
what he did in the first fight, which is what he did in the. This is the thing. In the first fight, what he did, he took pretty much the first half of the fight off.
Yeah.
And then as Martirosyan was trying to, in the later round, applying more pressure, Lara started to emerge.
Yeah.
If Jarrett Hurd comes and he takes rounds off and he'll let Lara dictate the first fight, the first half of the fight, when he applied the pressure and now he's gonna give Lara what he wants, I see him giving up some rounds to Lara that he could apply pressure.
Yeah.
He needs to come from the beginning and dictate the fight.
Yeah.
Apply the pressure that Lara should. Is he gonna make, the thing is this, if he can make Lara feel that he have to run for his survival, he'll win. Yeah. But I just don't see it. You do have a great point. It just, that's how I feel about the fight. Is not
strong arguments both ways. It's basically probably going to be a 50-50 fight on paper.
It is a 50-50 fight on paper. But
one last point before we transition to Dillian Whyte versus Lucas Browne, because that is the big fight this weekend. But Cisco and myself were kind of really intrigued by this matchup with Trout and
because
Hurd. That's why we kind of started off with this.
Because this is the type of fight that boxing should be making.
Yeah.
And the junior middleweight division, the 154-pound. Listen, this is great. When do we always see this? All of the champions fighting each other.
You're right.
Like the unification. Maybe Kovalev and Andre Ward.
Yeah.
But that happened. One guy grabbing all of the belts.
Yeah.
Not champion fighting champion. Like Andre Ward move up in weight to fight him, while Kovalev had the belt.
Yeah.
And Stevenson didn't fight Kovalev.
Yeah.
So I mean, but this is the time when Lara has 2 belts now, right?
Yeah.
This will be 3. This will be 4. Like he will be undisputed, and people, and in this time around, he should be ranked pound for pound. And if he ranked people, then he's gonna be forced to move up to 160. And that's when we're gonna start seeing the bigger challenge.
Yeah. All right. So one last point before we finish up on this one. Another thing I forgot to mention too is Jarrett Hurd's body attack. Very committed to going to the body. Angulo's not a big body puncher. Canelo had some success. Well, I'm not going to say all those shots I didn't think landed, but what they did do was they kept Lara occupied where he couldn't fire back because he had to keep his elbows tucked and he had to keep his hands home so he could block those shots.
What kept Lara occupied in the Canelo fight was the headbutting.
Okay.
That's do you remember the cut?
Yeah.
That's what kept them occupied, that he didn't want to get hit right there.
So let's move on to the big one. There's not a
what about wait a minute, before we get into the fight, what about the whole scandal of the steroid thing? Of Canelo testing positive.
You want to go there first, or you want to do the Dillian Whyte?
I want to go there.
All right, we'll go
first
there and
review some of that. Like,
all right.
Okay, the other day they had a back and forth of him. How Monday was it? That Gennady Golovkin came out and called him a cheater, and saying that he possibly tested positive for steroid.
Yeah.
On the first fight.
Yeah.
Listen, Gennady Golovkin and Canelo Alvarez know each other for a long time. aside from fighting each other.
Yeah,
they've been to sparring.
I'm sure they don't hang out and stuff, but
they don't hang out.
They're familiar with each other. Absolutely,
they're familiar with each other. They've been in the ring with each other for sparring.
Sure, yeah.
They Canelo once said, "Oh, we were friends." In one of the press conference, I'm not afraid of nobody. But this is the thing. I just want to be clear on this, because going back to the fight, a lot of people say, and this is funny, Golovkin didn't go to the body. Did Canelo go to the body?
No.
In boxing, why in fights nobody goes to the body, and when people go to the body, sometimes the person that does the most on the top get the most credit.
Yeah,
we see that.
Body work's not always rewarded. No?
So the body work is not always rewarded. It's only rewarded when you break your opponent down and you knock him out.
Yeah.
That's when we know, oh, your body work. Oh, he did a lot of damage to the body. He started with the body, but it's basically on how the knockout ended. Oh, he got leg. If somebody got leg, you got to slow him down, go into the body. Okay, so Golovkin making this allegation about Canelo and the steroid in the first fight. Why is he seeing something that he's not seeing based on knowing him and based on knowing some of the sparring people and based on knowing if he's seeing something different? Is my question to you. Why he's so sure that Canelo used steroid on the first fight? Because a lot of people say Canelo problem was the stamina. Like Canelo usually dies down. But if he dies down so much, why was he able to run through the whole entire fight?
I don't think I think that's overstated. He spent a lot of time on the ropes in the fight. He wasn't using it. He used a lot of upper body movement, head and shoulder movement. He used the waist movement. And he was making, once again, he was trying to do his best imitation of Mayweather in that fight. But once again, he made Golovkin miss, but he didn't always make him pay. You know what I'm saying? So I think people are kind of overstating the fact that he used his legs more so to be elusive than his upper body. And I think even Abel Sanchez, let me just say one quick thing, not to go off track. Abel Sanchez is a funny guy. Because I'm gonna date people here. I'm gonna show people an example of Abel Sanchez's hypocrisy.
Of course.
Terry Norris, when he fought Simon Browne the first time,
the
first time he got knocked out.
He got knocked down cold.
He got knocked out cold. He was sitting there like out.
Yeah.
Right. Then he fights him in the rematch.
And I was a little kid, by the way, but I remember the fight.
Yeah.
For the rematch, when he fought Simon Browne in the rematch.
He moved.
No. He didn't move. He landed one punch at a time and ran.
Exactly.
Like ran around the ring. And Simon Browne told him, yelled at him and said, yo, give me one round. Yeah. In the middle of the ring. So give me one round.
That was back in the 90s. So
in 90, when he rematched him, that was back in 94.
94. It was a long time ago. So people aren't going to remember that.
That was the fight. That was in the same undercard of Trinidad versus Nova City card.
He could sit there and say Terry Norris was a murderer, which he was. He was a killer. Didn't
they call him Terry the Terrible?
Yeah.
Norris?
But when he had to, you know, in this, because if he wanted to win, when he had to fight a certain way to win, he would do it. It's not like he was going to go out on his shield every time if he didn't have to. He knew he could evade Simon Browne, so he didn't engage. He boxed him.
In one thing
in the rematch, because he didn't want to get knocked out again.
One thing about Abel Sanchez, he always said to people, "You don't want to fight Canelo because you're gonna get knocked down." What happened when Felix Trinidad was calling out Terry Norris?
Exactly, same thing.
What happened? You remember?
Yeah.
Terry Norris retired and didn't fight Trinidad.
Exactly.
Terry Norris keep fighting. You remember the fight when Terry Norris, what was the guy named? Santana. Luis Santana.
Fought him 3 times, yeah.
The Dominican guy, 3 times. Suppose like that, then the fight used to be the same way. Yeah. The qualification, lose, like he kept fighting the same guy when Trinidad was calling him out. When Pernell Whitaker was there, like why was Terry Norris not fighting Pernell Whitaker? The Barry McGirt, those guys. I mean, but Abel Sanchez, what I didn't get about Abel Sanchez was like Abel Sanchez made one of the most, I don't know what to call it, that remark. There is no name, but when he said Harold Letterman had the fight for Gennady, and he doesn't, and he's not in favor of any other fighter because he's in the different. Why are you gonna go like that? How do you have it, and why do you fight at one? Yeah. So for Abel Sanchez to say Harold Letterman, how many times is Harold right?
Yeah, I disagree, Harold. But let me get back to the steroid thing, or the clenbuterol thing. My whole problem with this whole thing is twice, yeah. So Canelo pretty much he lives in Mexico. Pretty much trains in Mexico. Has trained in Mexico his whole career. So after eating the meat for so long, all of a sudden he, after all these years, finally he gets a piece of the contaminated meat. And you would think that this would happen earlier in a fighter's career because he doesn't have the money to buy top quality organic meat, and he has to eat what he can eat, what he can get, so he doesn't have the resources to get the best meat or whatever. But as you move along in your career, this guy's making $3 million to $5 million a fight right now, probably even more. You would think that they would be on top of this. You would think that they would be eating the best meat possible.
He's the biggest star in boxing, right?
Well, they say he is. I think Joshua is, but
Joshua has a whole country behind him.
Yeah.
So that's Canelo. But
it's arguable, yeah.
But it's arguable because if Anthony Joshua goes in the street, a lot of the girls won't recognize him.
Yeah.
But if Canelo goes in the street, a lot of people will recognize who he is. So I mean,
depends where you are. Yeah.
Depends where you are. I mean, if you're in the UK, Joshua, but if you're in America, in Mexico.
But here's the big problem. Because now, as I said before, people have heard me. If people listen to the show that my other show on Sundays that I do, Ringside Reporter podcast. Some of the stuff I'm going to repeat, but the thing is this: Golovkin has a gripe here because Canelo tests positive, and he's using the same excuse that other fighters have used. So he knows that the excuse has been used before, and fighters have gotten off with the same excuse. So right then and there, that says to me that possibly, this was planned, that this is something he could fall back on. Like, other boxers said the same thing, and they got off, and they were Mexican, and I could use the same excuse because I'm Mexican. I could say I just ate contaminated meat because, supposedly, there is contaminated meat in Mexico. They do put clenbuterol and inject clenbuterol in the cow. But the thing is this: I don't like the fact that when these guys are investigated, they don't have to provide evidence. They don't have to say, okay, now in the case of the Mexican soccer team that tested positive, they had to provide evidence. Yeah. They gave information of the hotel they stayed at and the restaurant they ate at, and then they investigated the restaurant that served them the meat, and they found that the meat was contaminated. Are they doing the same thing for Canelo, or are they just taking Canelo's word for it? Because the inclination that I'm getting is they're looking at the amount of clenbuterol that was in the system, and they're just saying, well, this falls in the lines of contaminated meat. But they're not. Doesn't seem to me, or it doesn't appear to me, that they're doing a thorough investigation to find out where that meat came from, where he ate it. He doesn't have to provide any evidence, and that's the problem I have. That's why I suspect that maybe he knowingly did it, because he did it before training camp started. So maybe he was tapering off and letting it get out of his system, and then starting training camp already. Now the people say, well, why is he doing that? Because he wants to come into training camp with as little fat possible on him. So now he doesn't have to shed extra pounds going into camp. He can kind of focus more on technique and a lot of the boxing drills instead of weight loss exercises now, because he's already going into camp light. That's why he probably took it in the off season or whatever, and before the fight was signed or whatever, or not before the fight was signed, but before camp started. So now he already has that advantage where he doesn't have to cut a lot of weight the next 8 weeks. So that gives him an advantage, and it gives him a stamina advantage too, because if once you're training on that drug, you may start here, that drug may take you here. So you're tapering off it. it's not going to take you all the way down here. You'll probably go down to here. So you already get that head start on your physical conditioning because of the drug, and you already get that head start going into camp pretty lean. So that's why I'm saying I suspect that maybe he knowingly took the drug. I can't confirm it, but I suspect it. And to sit there and say, oh, we're going to give him a pass, and there's no to not suspect at all, and to not have him provide the evidence, that's horrible.
Should the fight be canceled?
As a fight fan, I want to see the fight go on. But if the WBC is going to be consistent, then they should possibly.
When have the WBC been consistent?
That's the problem. See what I'm saying? So if someone just says, yeah, I contaminated meat, we need to know, and not only that, Golovkin needs to know. He definitely deserves the right to know the investigation and what's taking place. So this is going to be totally off the wall here, what I'm going to say. So say, I commit a crime. Say I kill your brother, right? All right. Obviously, no matter what happens to me, your brother's not going to come back. But you want to know that justice is being served. You want to make sure that the prosecutor is and the court system is going to punish me to the fullest extent of the law. You want to make sure that an investigation is done because you want to make sure that I get convicted of the crime. You want to make sure I get punished for it. So Golovkin needs to know. He needs to know for sure, because in the back of his mind, there's doubt here. You know what I'm saying? There's doubt that maybe he did, maybe he didn't. So he needs to know. There needs to be an investigation, so he knows for certain that this drug wasn't taken knowingly.
Do you know what? Do you know what gets to me now? Look, who's bigger, Jacob or Canelo?
Canelo.
He's bigger than Jacob. He's a bigger guy.
Oh, not size wise.
Size wise?
No.
Okay, look. Golovkin was able, regardless of what people say, he was able to drop Jacob, right?
Yeah.
Look, everybody knows. Everybody knows. This is going back to the steroid. Everybody knows how hard Gennady Golovkin hit, right?
Yeah.
Canelo claiming that he doesn't hit hard.
Yeah.
Canelo does. This is the same guy that was bothered by Mayweather body punches, saying, this is funny. This is the same guy that was bothered by Mayweather body punching, saying that Golovkin doesn't hit as hard as people think. Okay?
Yeah.
Golovkin is feeling like a little. I understand where he's coming from. That happens. He was in the ring with him. He knows. And no matter what people want to say, Golovkin did find a way. He found his way to victory.
Yeah.
He found his way to victory. When you are the contender, or when you are the challenger, you cannot fight the whole fight backward. Yeah. You need to step forward at some point. Yeah. You need to be aggressive. Like a lot of people failed. Andre Ward beat Kovalev in the first fight.
Yeah.
Andre Ward became the aggressor in that fight.
In the second half, yeah.
In the second half of the fight.
Sure.
So I mean, I can see why people felt that way.
Yeah. Regardless
of, but if it's a fight, or are they really building this not a proportion to make the fight bigger? What is going on here? Are they really building that because now Canelo is really going to have to fight?
I'm going to say no.
Is Canelo really going to stand with this man toe to toe?
No, but what I'm going to tell you right now is I think when Canelo goes back to the ropes, I think you're going to see Triple G be more aggressive. He's going to gamble a little bit more, and he's going to go inside, and he's going to go to the body. This sounds like I'm making an excuse for Triple G in the first fight, but it was his first really big showcase. It was his biggest fight. He's never been on the big stage. Canelo's been on the stage with Mayweather. He's been on the stage with Cotto.
We don't really know what exactly It could be.
Oh, we don't know. We don't know. I'm just giving you my opinion.
Yes. We don't know if Triple G was feeling sick.
No,
because he has before in the past in some fight not feel well that day of the fight because
something
was different.
Something looked off. You could see by the body language and just his facial expression that wasn't the normal Triple G.
Of course, no. But I think he fought. I think he fought a fight. I think he's fought a very smart fight with a guy that was supposedly trapping me into a chess match. But Jacob did a better job.
I agree.
Not in Triple G.
I agree.
So I mean that's what I would doubt. But in the rematch, is Canelo really gonna fight him toe to toe? Is he gonna stand in the middle of the ring exchange?
But again, the thing is this
because Julio Cesar Chavez was my idol. As a kid, I used to even pray for him to win the fight.
Yeah.
But he always talking about the true Mexican, the Aztec.
Yeah.
And now he's saying that Canelo did a great job with Triple G and is being biased for Canelo. You know why? And I don't respect that opinion because Julio Cesar Chavez doesn't like the Gennady Golovkin comparison to him in terms of his ability to box.
Very good point.
I agree in the ring.
I agree 110%.
So I mean, I don't really respect what Julio Cesar Chavez have to say.
Yeah.
Or Juan Manuel Marquez also saying that Canelo is tactical when Marquez at time was more aggressive than Pacquiao.
Listen,
and felt that he got robbed.
He fought the fight of his life, Canelo. He fought the best he could. He could not fight any better than he fought in that first fight. You and I both agree Triple G could do better than what he did. Even though he is slipping, he still hasn't slipped to the point where he's not a top-level fighter. Okay? So if this guy fought the best he could and he only walked away with a draw, and I thought he lost, and you thought he lost. So, all the stars aligned for him in the first fight, and he still didn't walk away with the victory.
I saw him. I really saw him. I really saw Triple G in that fight losing for a round. Not more than that.
Most people had it the same way you had it.
I saw him losing for a round.
Yeah. 116, 112 was
the first two he lost. And he lost the 12th round.
Yeah.
And he lost like the 10th round.
Yeah.
Something like that.
That's fair.
That's how I had it.
That's a fair assessment.
In the 12th round, Canelo landed more punches, but he landed on the bicycle.
Yeah.
Like if you feel you win, you know the fight is close. His corner knew the fight was close. Oscar de la Hoya is saying, my guy won, I had it like this. Golden Boy, everybody when I'm hacking, this guy won, my guy won, I had it like this.
Yeah.
None of them is gonna say Triple G won.
Yeah.
You see? But Abel Sanchez to say we won because Harold Letterman. I mean, I don't know, man. That's nah.
All right. Let's transition into this big fight this weekend, Dillian Whyte versus Lucas Browne. Because it looks like very possibly the winner of this fight is going to get the winner of Anthony Joshua versus Joseph Parker, which is next week. So this is a very important weekend for the heavyweight division.
This is as exciting. This is the first time in a very long time that the heavyweight division look this exciting.
Yeah,
and it's not because of that. It's because the matchups are interesting matchup. Because one fighter might be better than the other, but the other fighter is presenting a challenge of a possible defeat. Like, what happens if this guy gets defeated? Like, it is the type of fight. It is the type of excitement that the fighters are. Fights look more evenly matched. Like we saw Luis Ortiz versus Wilder.
Yeah,
Fight was an interesting fight. And like the matchups are being very well. I mean, let's be clear on this. The heavyweight division, if the level of competition get better, will be the best division in boxing. Because everybody fight each other. There is no like, oh no, I'm gonna do up and weight. No. So I mean.
Yeah, so Dillian Whyte didn't look great in his last fight against Robert Helenius. Didn't look good against Derek Chisora. Everyone knows he lost to Anthony Joshua, but he had a big moment in that fight where it hurt Anthony Joshua. Lucas Browne, a lot of us really haven't seen a ton of him. I saw the Chigaev fight where he knocked out Chigaev. He's only the second man to do that, and Vladimir Klitschko obviously was the first guy to do it. Big, strong guy. Klitschko, murderous puncher. We already know that.
But Chigaev was not the same fighter in the Klitschko fight.
No.
So, I mean, we got to play that into.
So we can argue that Dillian Whyte has the better resume. We could argue that Dillian Whyte probably has better boxing skills. But the thing is this, Dillian Whyte is not a slick master boxer either. He's a guy that likes to engage. But against Chisora, he didn't really engage that much. And against Helenius, who kind of fought a very passive fight, wasn't really aggressive. It was a kind of a stinker. We can agree on that. So Lucas Browne is a guy that is going to bring it.
Let me ask you this: since you fight both guys closely, because both guys don't look like their physical condition is their superior thing. Which guy have the better physical condition?
I'm going to say Browne, because Browne fights at a fast pace the whole fight. He weighed in at 264 today. I believe Dillian Whyte was 254. So Dillian Whyte,
they both big guys.
But that 254 for Dillian Whyte is a little bit too heavy. He's used to being about 235-ish, 240-ish. To me, 254 is heavy.
Yeah.
And he's the guy who's the boxer, so he's going to have to move a little bit. Browne, he seems like he's a little taller, he's a little bit more muscular. He seems to have the frame to carry it a little better. And again, it goes down to this. Dillian Whyte's a better boxer, but is he that much better of a boxer where he can out-slick Lucas Browne? I don't think so. So this is going to come down to who gets whose respect first. So if Lucas Browne can hurt Dillian Whyte, then
the fight's going to end by knockout.
It's going to end by knockout.
Yeah. So,
but if Dillian Whyte can take the shots and he could, stick and move a little bit, but the thing is this, Dillian Whyte likes to get in there and stay in the pocket, and he likes to get in exchanges, even though he'll come out and reset.
Yeah.
But we saw in the Joshua fight there was bad blood. So they both kind of went at each other. There's a little bit of bad blood in this fight too. So will Dillian Whyte be disciplined enough to not let his emotions get the better of him like they did in the Joshua fight? And even Joshua let the emotions admittedly get to the better of him. That's why he was hurt. So the onus is on Dillian Whyte on how to dictate how this fight is going to be fought and how it's going to play out, because he can box, he can slug, but he still can get touched. He's not that good of a boxer where he doesn't get hit a lot. Lucas Browne is a strong guy. He beat out of prime James Toney. He beat up probably a Chigaev on his way down. So he doesn't have the same level of competition that Dillian Whyte's had. But Dillian Whyte hasn't set the world on fire lately either. Robert Helenius, he didn't look great in that fight. Didn't look good. He barely beat Chisora. So Browne is a huge underdog in this fight. He's like a 3.5 to 4 to 1 underdog in this fight. But I think he's live. I think he can win this fight.
Is it one of those? Do you feel like it's one of those fights where the underdog should really be the favorite? Where the underdog is just better than that. Where the underdog is just better than the guy that is supposed to win.
And I'll tell you why. Based on Dillian Whyte's experience and his resume, his level of opposition is better. So you could argue, you can't even argue. It's pretty much clear cut that he's fought better guys.
Yes.
And because of that, you would favor him because you could say he's fought at a higher level, and he's won some and he's lost some. Don't get me wrong. He only lost one to Joshua, but you could argue that Chisora may have won that fight. So he hasn't really sold us. He hasn't really sold us on his boxing ability yet.
But in the Joshua fight, he had a lot of success to certain extent.
Yeah, but ever since that fight, though, he hasn't set the world on fire.
I mean, it's very hard to recover from knockout.
So did Joshua take some of the steam out of Dillian Whyte? I'm not gonna say he ruined him.
Not well, you know, it's like when you undefeated and someone comes and defeats you like that, like both guys are undefeated and one guy defeat the other, and then by knockout, some kind of like fighters don't feel the same.
Yeah.
So they kind of need something to push him. So I think in this fight, Browne, that presents that challenge to him. So it will be an interesting match, because if he's not in his A game, Browne would take him apart.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to go on a limb. I'm going to pick Browne in this fight. And I'm going to tell you why. Arguably, you could say Browne is at least, at the very least, the second hardest puncher Dillian Whyte's going to be in there with, outside of Joshua. Browne's more of a clubber. Joshua's more explosive. But Browne is another guy that just keeps coming. He's big. He's strong. He's hard to hurt. And he's 264. He's 6'5". He's not chiseled, but he's pretty solid. Browne, Whyte at 254 looks very soft to me. We all know it's not a beauty contest, but if this fight turns into a slugfest, it's going to be in Browne's favor. It's not what Whyte wants. Even though Whyte can pop a little bit, I still don't think he has the power that Browne has, and I still don't think he's as physically durable as Browne is. Now, Browne, as I said, is not an explosive guy. He may see a lot of the punches coming, but Browne can throw a feint here and there. Browne can also lull you into that false sense of security, thinking I see everything coming, and then that one punch you don't see coming can be the end, and it can be the turning point in the fight. So I'm going to go with Browne in this fight. I think Browne may stop Whyte in 9 or 10 rounds. This is going to be a huge upset.
Well,
I'm going with Browne.
Tell you one thing. In the heavyweight division, when it comes down to your prediction, 95% of the time that you have told me who you're picking to win, you have come on top.
Yeah.
So,
and Browne,
you are the same guy that picked
Fury over
Klitschko.
Yeah, Klitschko. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you the same guy that picked Holyfield to beat Tyson.
I'm just going to tell everyone. I'm going to tell everyone out there. I'm just going to look guys in the eye. The way this fight is being sold to you, that Browne is this big lummox that is just a big caveman type guy in there, but he can cut the ring off. He can throw feints. He's not Sugar Ray Robinson, but neither is Dillian Whyte. So Dillian Whyte hasn't looked great. Browne hasn't fought the best guys in the world lately. So this, in my opinion, is a 50-50 fight. But whenever you see a 50-50 fight and you can get close to 4-1 odds on one guy, you take that guy that's the 4-1 underdog. So Beeb Industries is taking Lucas Browne. Now, speaking of heavyweights, let's transition into this Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua soap opera. We talked about this a little bit last week. Let's talk about this a little bit more.
Well, one thing to start off, one thing is this. Why are we talking negotiation between those two when I am big on Anthony Joshua? I think he's gonna get better, and the sky is the limit for him. Due to this level of competition, I'm not comparing Anthony Joshua to the greats. No, I'm going by the era that he's in. I gotta take it. In boxing nowadays, I cannot pick, what if. There are few fights that you can make cases of guy greatness and level of opposition. But why are he's interfering what Deontay Wilder is doing this. He's interfering, him and his camp. I feel like they are becoming a distraction for Joshua and his camp to the fight with Parker. Then bringing negotiation, then trying to get something started before he faces the opponent. He's giving. What happened if Joshua wins the fight but doesn't knock Parker out? A lot of people are gonna feel this way. Joshua won. No, Parker won. Yes. Because Parker might do better than what people think. And that's because Wilder, then they're gonna say, oh, Joshua was thinking Wilder instead of
well, next week we're gonna get down into the strategy. We're gonna break down Parker versus Joshua without a question. But let's talk about this whole thing of Wilder being invited over to the UK by Sky. It's going to be part of the broadcast team. It's going to have probably a credential around his neck. Okay, he's going to be on the floor. He's going to have access, I'm sure, to walk around on the floor, near the ring, whatever. But Anthony Joshua says, I don't want Deontay Wilder to enter this ring. And I know you said you didn't like the fact that fighters go in the ring. It's more of a WWE thing. That's not your thing. And I totally respect that. But let me ask you this. Can we agree that it does kind of hype the fight up? It is good for promotion. Can we agree on that?
It does.
It may not be your cup of tea, but can we agree on that?
Okay. The whole okay. It is okay for a fighter to go in the ring and say, let's fight. Let's give the fan what they want. But when the whole pushing start and like, no, like the whole thing start, like they about to hit each other, we know they're not gonna do that. Yeah. So that's my thing. Also, I feel like this is why I don't like it. I feel like the moment that you do that, they are fans who wants to hear their fighter speak. Why don't you want to fight this guy? And when the guy come, I feel like it interrupts. Like people feel like this fighter want to say more, and they idolize the fighter. So I feel like that's their moment of shine. So they celebrate in that moment. They celebrating their victory, or they might be upset. Why are we gonna come? And then I feel like it's disrespectful to the fighter that got defeated too. That hey, like you see what I mean? Like it's like we are forgetting about this fight already. And then if it was a close fight, then the other guy come and then interfere. But that's just me. If people love to see that, it's fine. To me, it's not like it bothers me. It's not like I get mad. I just say that it's not necessary. But you see what I'm saying?
But does it make sense that, let me ask you, have you ever heard a fighter ever say that I don't want this fighter coming in the ring after my victory? Like, have you ever seen that?
You know, but I did hear one thing. Floyd Mayweather told Sugar Shane Mosley. You remember what he told him?
Yeah, this is
stop taking my spotlight.
Yeah, this is my
respect me as a man.
Yeah, okay. Like, so let Wilder go in the ring, and then if he gets disrespectful to Joshua, then Joshua has every right to say, "Hey, man, stop trying to steal my shine. You know, get out of my face." But when you tell somebody, I don't want that guy in the ring, like you're going to put a restraining order on this guy. Like fighters are not supposed to do stuff like that. Okay. It's not a good look, bro.
Okay. Let me tell you this. What did we get from Adonis Stevenson coming in the ring in the Kovalev fight? For what? You remember?
But that's on Adonis Stevenson.
But
Shane Mosley got his fight, right?
Okay, but Adonis Stevenson came. Listen, Adonis Stevenson, wasn't he with HBO before?
Yeah.
He was, and then
yes.
And then when they say, "Hey, you're gonna fight Sergey," what did he do? Went to Al Haymon. Yeah. I mean, listen. So that fight didn't happen. What was that all about? But the Joshua fight and Wilder, is that gonna be the next fight after the Parker? Joshua,
I'm hoping it is, but at the very least, if it doesn't happen next,
but
I think it will definitely happen
in 2 years from now. I think the fight is going to take place.
I think if the fight doesn't happen next, if Wilder fights the winner of Browne versus Whyte, and then maybe Joshua fights I don't know, Povetkin or somebody else, then the very next fight will be Wilder and Joshua if they both win. I don't think it's going to drag out too much longer. I'm hoping that maybe it could be next. Maybe it could be in December. But if it's not in December, it could quite possibly be in next April or May.
And that fight is going to be in the UK, I think.
It probably would be in the UK, but would it be a bad idea to put it in Vegas?
No, but I just don't see it in Vegas yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great fight for the UK. Don't get me wrong, but it also would be a great fight in Vegas. Have all the people from the UK come over to Vegas. Vegas definitely pay a huge site fee, and
the only thing
charge crazy amount for the tickets.
Only thing is this: I don't see anybody going to the UK and beating Joshua unless they knock him out.
Yeah, but can Wilder knock Joshua out? He can do it. Will he? I don't know. I'm gonna pick. I'm still picking Joshua in the fight.
I'm not gonna tell you this. This is what I'm gonna tell you. And Deontay Wilder might never give me an interview because he's not gonna like what I'm gonna say. In the Luis Ortiz fight, he gave the blueprint to Joshua on how to beat him.
Yeah,
it's simple as that. Yeah. So I mean, it's all great, and people are hyping this fight up, and there will always be something. But Joshua is hungrier than Luis Ortiz, and is in way more physical condition and has more punching power punching power.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
fair enough. So, do you think that this fight should happen next, or do you think this fight needs to be built up more? Do you agree with the fact that this fight needs to marinate a little bit to become bigger and to maximize the earning potential of both fighters?
This fight, I feel like the boxing, the heavyweight division need a bigger fight than this. The only way that this fight will be bigger than this is if this fight way longer. Both guys are young. Both guys are relatively young. I don't think the fight will happen because of right now the negotiation. That's gonna take a while. It's gonna be we might see the fight in a year and a half, 2 years.
Okay.
But again, Parker does look like a very intriguing opponent for Joshua. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
So I mean, we'll see.
All right. Well, I'm Joe Habib, aka the Beeb, Cisco the Realist. For the everybody loves sports. Not everyone, everybody loves sports, and the World of Sports Network. See you next week. We're going to talk about
in our show, Realist in Boxing.
Realist in Boxing. We're going to talk Joshua Parker next week.
And Linares Lomachenko.
Linares Lomachenko. And there's going to be many other topics as the week progresses and we find things to talk about. But we will be back next week at 1:30 on the Beating Yards of Beeb channel. Make sure you check us out. Till next time, peace.